Hello, and welcome to the Astro Energy Astrology Show podcast with astrologer Shelley Overton. Hi, and welcome to the May 13th, 2022 edition of the Astro Energy Astrology Show. My name is Shelley Overton, and I am an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. I've been an astrologer way too long, since the 80s. And I have studied astrology since I was a child, since I was 12. So I want to welcome you to the show this week. And we're going to kind of do a little bit more chill, laid back show today. We're going to talk about what it feels like to experience some of these different astrological events. It was something I wanted to do last week, but I really didn't focus that way. So I kind of wanted to do it this week. But first off, I'm going to tell you where the planets are, and then I'll discuss kind of how we integrate that into our daily lives. Okay. So this chart in particular, I just created it. And of course, the rising sign is different whatever time you're watching this and wherever you are. But I have a 0-degree Leo rising, which is really awesome for me because I have a 2-degree Venus and Leo in my chart. So I've got Venus right there in the first house of self, which is pretty awesome. Means that I can really express that creative nature that I have. And let me tell you, I am on full bore with my creative side right now. Maybe we'll talk a little more about that later if we have time. Anyway, today we have a stellium of planets in two different parts of the sky. We've got them in Pisces, Aries, and right now where I'm reading this, we've got Mars, Neptune, Jupiter, Venus, and Chiron all in one sector of the sky, which is the 9th house. And then they're in Mars in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, and we have Jupiter at 0 Aries. We've got Venus at 12 degrees of Aries, and we've got Chiron at 14 Aries, which means Venus is coming up on Chiron in the next couple of days, meaning an exact conjunction. And a conjunction for newbies means that they're together in the sky. So, my era used to watch the Saturday morning cartoons and all the little educational stuff, conjunction, junction, what's your function, that kind of thing. And I always think of that every time I say the word conjunction. Anyway, I thought a little tropical feel is good for a Friday. So I wanted to bring in the tropics here. My aunts, I have a couple aunts and an uncle in Maui right now. So I just felt a little relaxed and chill today. I don't want to be so uptight, being all like, this is what we've got. This is what we've got. So we're going to be at the beach and we're going to chat about astrology and what we're feeling today. So having Venus joining Chiron means that we're going to feel this potential wounded energy, and it may mean that we tap into that wounding. And again, because Aries is what I look to for the racism storyline and for, that's coming out. So not only is it assertive energy and salesmen, emergency workers, firefighters, all of that, which I say every time, but it's also construction and identity. It's our sense of self. It's where we present ourselves in a zodiac chart. It is the first house ruler, Aries. And so it represents the ego. And being that it represents the ego, the face we put out to others, that energy is going to be part of the Chiron story and the Venus story. And of course, Jupiter and any other planet that transits or, walks through that Aries territory. And so I'm just focusing right now on Venus and Chiron. Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, now talking to the god of war. So she is infused with more of this drive to do something. And I feel that too. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm just going to give an overview of the planets, and then we'll talk about the feelings. We'll go through all the planets again and really talk about how we feel with it. Chiron, wounded healer. And again, last week I touched on the fact that Chiron, the god Chiron, was actually a very great humanitarian and into humanities And the energy of humanities is being actually a kind of a combination of humanities and humanitarianism, because he helped other people with the arts and music and beauty and aesthetics and things like that. He really engaged with the idea of expression. And so being in Aries, we're going to see that this is a really strong time of personal expression. Venus loves to express through beauty or through appearance. And in Aries, it's about the head. So now we are expressing ourselves very strongly through our hair. Having Mars, the ruler of Aries in Pisces, means long hair. When he gets to the first degrees of Aries and maybe even joins up with Jupiter, Jupiter's transformation, and it is a change. So we may end up cutting our hair, which would break my heart. I literally, before this podcast started, got a picture of my son on the road with his dad. His dad's retiring and they're driving down to Florida from Minnesota. And today's the first full day of the trip, and they're up in Illinois. And they stopped and took a photo in front of some nature shot. And my son has hair to here, and he started wearing it down recently, and it looks gorgeous. He's been growing it for a couple of years. So, when Mars gets to early Aries, that changes our idea about how we want to present ourselves. Right now, he's expressing very much the sentiment, the energy of Pisces, which likes to hide. And so, one of the things Pisces does to hide is grow hair. Men grow beards. We are in a very strong beard cycle. We've had planets Neptune, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, all in Pisces. Saturn will go in Pisces within a year. So Saturn, over the course of that time, 2.5 years in Pisces, will continue the story. And then just about the time that we feel that, we also have Pluto going into Aquarius. And then for, I think, 2046, Pluto gets into Pisces. So we'll have another hair generation at that time, with the deep feelings needing to hide again. So, but that's a ways down the road. That's like 23 years from now. So quite a while. But for the next few years, we're going to have that wonderful long hair on men. And it's one of my favorites, got to say. Okay, so having Venus with Chiron, we are going to express ourselves more creatively. We're going to really show our image stronger and take more time and care with our face and our presence. Jupiter now in Aries, he's talking about what we're doing with education, maybe starting new projects, doing something different, going somewhere new. I've got, like I said, my kids and my aunts and uncle are both traveling really strongly right now. And it's going to be a really big summer of travel with Jupiter and Aries for sure. Wherever we have Jupiter in our charts, it's going to really expand the awareness of self and how we affect things around us and move towards something new. Neptune's still at 24 Pisces. He's direct right now. He's heading stronger and stronger towards the end degrees, but he is in the culmination energy of Pisces, which means we're much more psychic and aware. We're sensitive. Our boundaries are low. We're learning about boundaries. That's what Pluto and Capricorn is trying to teach us. And so those two planets are very strongly talking right now, Pluto and Neptune, because late degrees Capricorn is the structure, is the culmination of the authority and the means to project ourselves into that position. Where is our personal authority? And Neptune is really culminating the story of an end of cycle, but also a concentrated awareness of ethereal things, what's on the other side. And the two together can really bring together the dream, which Neptune brings to the table, and the subconscious energy that we get from Pluto. So we are really in our psychology with Pluto and what we truly value. It is the ruling planet of Scorpio, and that rules the territory of sky that is about our values and our commitment to something, our passion, and what we deem to be a value versus what we discard. So it is very black and white. And at end degrees now retrograde, he is going back to the old traditional stories, to the way we've done things, to what's safe, to what's traditional. And so we'll see that. And Neptune being direct, they're kind of now moving in opposite directions, as Neptune is still moving forward, but now Pluto is moving away from that sextile between the two. So Pluto wants to kind of go back to the past and reaching back very strongly. You can't see my hand, reaching back to the past. And so he's really trying to do something that he's used to doing. He brings that energy to us, and it's like we feel more comfortable with what we're familiar with. And that's what Pluto's psychologically bringing back and bringing the story in. Mars, Pisces, of course, he's in the last 10 degrees, last decan. And that means that now he is in the, let's see, it goes Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. He's in the Scorpio decan. So now he's getting more passionate. He's getting more psychological, maybe delving more deeply into our own psychology. And really, the last 10 degrees of Pisces are going to be probably the most emotional of any of the degrees in the zodiac. And that's because we are picking up everything that other people say, feel, and think. And so that energy is hitting us. And so Pluto needs to show us the boundaries. Any Earth planets are, and so Uranus in Taurus at 15 degrees right now is also trying to bring more of the rational side to everything. That's really a strong point for Uranus. He's very rational, very clear-minded, and he wants to bring the total picture to the storyline. North Node at 22 degrees, again, is a very strong point for what's going on in the country. It trines the 22 stellium in 2020, or it might have been, no, it was January of last year, 21. There was a stellium at 22 Capricorn. So that is triggering last year. And of course, it was right around the insurrection date. And so that brings nodal energy and south node in 22 Scorpio. So it is very strongly Plutonian, being that it's triggering the south node at 22, answering to Pluto. So it's about this major change that we need to do psychologically around what occurred to us in January of 21. So just know that, and it could also be 2020. Of course, that was the beginning of the pandemic. But that time of year, everything's in Capricorn, and it was very strongly 22 degrees in 21. And so this year, of course, is 2022. So that number is really the demarcation of a lot of the energy and what we're experiencing right now. Mercury at 4 degrees, Gemini, retrograde now. He is heading backwards. He and Pluto are in conjunct, well, actually not quite in conjunct, they're actually just past trine. So they're in conjunct by sign, which means Gemini and Capricorn do not get along as signs, but Mercury just over the mark, the cusp into Gemini, is actually only 6 degrees away from Pluto by trine, which means he's still in trine aspect by degree. And I hope that's not too confusing for you, but trine is going to be a very significant aha moment. It's going to be a surprise for those who didn't expect it. And I definitely expect there's going to be something with Trump with this, because he is a Gemini. Mercury's in his sign. There is a lot of Elon Musk referencing him right now as he is considering buying. Well, he's made an offer for Twitter. It's on hold until they view the value of the what percentage they have of fake accounts for Twitter. And he has been referencing letting Trump back on Twitter. And so, we'll see what happens with that. And because it happened, the whole thing happened right as Mercury went into Gemini and Mercury retrograded. So we're probably not going to get a final answer until Mercury gets back to this degree later on in about 6 weeks, when he goes through the whole rigmarole of retrograde, moving out back into the sign of Gemini and out of the shadow period. And then, yes, something could come sooner, but if it does in fact come sooner, I would venture to say that it's not going to be a long-term thing. It is duplicity and duality under Gemini, meaning there could be a secondary purchase, there could be another person interested, or as Mercury obviously doesn't always fulfill what we think it will, it may not come to fruition. So that's, all of these are possibilities. And those are what we discuss when we discuss astrology, because it isn't always clear cut. Sometimes we have a little bit of difference, things that don't turn out the way you would think they should. So yeah, just keep an eye on that Mercury energy and what's going on with that as it retrogrades back into Taurus, which is the value of that purchase. So I definitely think that when Mercury gets back into Taurus, he's going to have second opinion about what he should do. I mean, in other words, like he'll have second thoughts. And that happens the 23rd of May. So he's definitely going to go, whoa, you know, back up a little bit and really see if there's value for the money. By then, you know, it's already lost percentage points going into Gemini, and with him putting it on hold to see what the value of the um, fraudulent accounts or the actual fake accounts that are on there is. Right now it's at 5%, or at least it was considered to be 5% of all of the accounts are basically fake, or nobody really owns them, or they don't do anything, or, you know, they're fraudulent, they're empty accounts. Okay, so Saturn is in, let's see, square. Right now, Saturn's at 24 degrees, so he's squaring Uranus, North Node, and Sun, giving us a secondary thought. I mean, it's not surprising that right now I think Bitcoin is at its lowest it's been in a long time. It's under 30,000. And so, of course, crypto is in the crosshairs. Not surprising. The nature of crypto is to go up and down with Uranian cycles. That's the way to judge it. Not an accountant, not a financier. So I'm just going to let you know, if you're going to use my advice, I'm an astrologer. This is for entertainment purposes only, but I do astrological readings of different business situations. So I'm just going to give you what I know. And so definitely having a square to Saturn right now, and Mercury going back into Taurus, it's going to be interesting because the discussion will be about crypto again. Elon Musk will center on the discussion financially because, of course, he's Uranian ruled. I don't even know what his sun sign is. He's probably an Aquarius. If not, he's got a ton of Aquarian energy in his chart, which is why he's a little eccentric. So, you know, he's got the Taurus energy strong and Uranian energy. So the two combined, obviously he's rising to the fore in the news cycle. And so, you know, we've got his endeavors with space, also Uranian, his endeavors on the stock market, and his kind of rogue mentality when it comes to how he treats the stock market. He really isn't very respectful. Not that that's a good or bad thing. I don't really care one way or the other what he does. So he's out there, you know, doing his own thing. And of course, interestingly, if you have watched the Judd Heard trial, he came up because he dated Amber Heard for a brief period of time. So he even made it into that, which is a very big trial right now. So the guy's definitely all over the astrological charts. Maybe we can do his chart next week or something. I'll think about that. Could be interesting. I like doing that kind of thing. So yeah, we'll leave it with that for those planets all at the top of the chart. And then on the other end, we have the moon at 18 degrees of Libra, about 4 days, 3 days away from the full moon solar eclipse. I believe it's solar. Let's just look. It might be lunar. What the heck? Where is it? Lunar. Okay, so lunar eclipse, meaning the Earth gets between the sun and the moon. And it's like jumping up. I don't know. I'm in such a mood today. It's like, hey, you know, I'm here and we're going to block. It's kind of like when somebody jumps up and takes your shot in a volleyball game or something like that. So you think that you're going to get the shot and somebody jumps in and takes it. And, you know, you're like, wait, what? What just happened? Something can happen with this lunar eclipse. And because it's Scorpio, it's late Scorpio, it rules all the juicy gossip, the underworld, the mafia, the things that are going on behind the scenes. I would even venture to say what's going on in the Vatican, because to me, one of the biggest mysterious things that is going on in our world today is what happens behind the scenes in the Vatican. You know, there's so much going on there that can't help but wonder what all they have as far as documents and paintings and information, things that have gone on. Just this week, we had some more information come out how Americans in California have also, not just Canada, but in America, We have ventured into disgusting territory where children of native cultures have been found, graves, many graves, up to 500 dead in California, children of Native American background. So, yeah, it's just deplorable what has gone on in this country through the races over the decades and millennia. And I personally am extremely angry about this having happened. I mean, to me, I have a Uranus and Pluto conjunction near my sun and Mercury in the 11th house, ruled by Aquarius. And I can tell you, I am always very up in arms when I see injustice done to people for any reason. It's just unacceptable in this day and age that we still treat fellow man and fellow women um, to just despicable ends. You know, like, how is this still a thing? And so we're seeing that with Pluto retrograde now. The church is represented by Capricorn, and that's coming out with Pluto. It is the underworld, the unspoken, the hidden, and the mystery, and that's coming out. So we see that right now. Mercury going back into Taurus and joining up with the sun at that time. I'm trying to see, I think it definitely will be a conjunction in about a week, because Mercury will get back to the late degrees in a week from now. Sun will be at 29 Taurus. So there's going to be some discussion. And that means that Mercury has gone forward, venturing into the Gemini waters, meaning there's a lot of information that Mercury wants to express to us. But now he's going back and being more thoughtful. And, well, thoughtful might be the wrong word, but definitely reviewing and overseeing the territory that he has been in and the information that he has gleaned over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And then as the sun comes up, and then two meet right there at the end degrees of Taurus, early Gemini. It's probably going to be the end Taurus. I haven't looked forward, but we'll talk about it next week. That information is going, the sun's going to be shown on Mercury. And of course, the moon will be opposite that energy, both of them, not exact at the same time, but definitely within a few days. And so that's really going to be a huge storyline next week, is the moon opposite sun Mercury. And so that's going to be a big time. Again, the 16th is the day that the trial starts for Johnny Depp again. And it's also going to be, well, we don't know yet with Roe v. Wade. I'm not sure if they've already voted yet, but I know they tried to pass a law this week, yesterday, I think it was. And of course it failed because of one, I don't know, that was not done. It failed. And then there was another vote for Ukraine humanitarian aid that failed due to one holdout, Rand Paul. And so, yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing this very contentious energy coming in. Mars, as it goes into Aries, is only going to accent that even more. So let's see when that happens. I'm just going to look that up real quick here for you. Mars goes into Aries on the 24th. We'll just go double check the 24th. Yeah, it goes in at 7:17 p.m. within a couple hours of moon going to Mars. So look for that day, the 24th of May, to be a very volatile day with, you know, it does rule guns, it rules aggression and violence. So I suspect that there's going to be another shooting on that day, or increased violence in Ukraine as well. But that's just what it is. It's the god of war, you know, so we see that kind of thing. And, you know, that's a really strong energy for fights amongst people born around the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of March. So look for that. And also the opposite, Librans are going to feel this as well. So Libra right now, today with the moon at 18, Libra is feeling this opposition to Venus and Chiron. And then the moon continues on and goes into Scorpio, which means that whatever actions have been, you know, acted upon through whatever is going on with your life emotionally or home life is going to go deep into the subconscious. And we're going to probably really pull back in the next couple days and go into that deep emotional place over the weekend. Scorpio weekends are never fun for me because that means the moon's where my moon is, and I end up pulling back and getting a bit moody. Maudlin was the word I was going to say. So combine those. Anyway, yeah, so that's what's going on. Let's see this week if we have anything coming up. I did write all over my charts here. Watch out for fraud. You can't see it. There it is. Yeah, now I totally disappeared. Watch out for lies and fraud. And I think that that's very accurate right now with what's going on in many areas of society. So just pay attention to that more strongly. And yeah, next week with the lunar eclipse in, I'm sorry, that is 24, 25 of Scorpio. And that means that we're going to have a lot of intensity. We've got Sun in Taurus, which is money, Moon in Scorpio, which is value. And so it's finances for Taurus and joint finances for Scorpio. And that's also affecting the storyline around money for the collective. It's finances and inflation. It is also home and partner. The couples are going to feel this crunch next week, full moon. So just be prepared for that it could be a contentious time. I know, if somebody is going to be looking to buy an automobile, not a great time to do it, which tells me that I probably know somebody who's going to do it. And I have an idea who. So just be aware that Monday is going to be about possessions. And that's also another aspect of Taurus. And Scorpio is about joint possessions. So that's coming in. All right. Tuesday, Moon in Sagittarius. And then there's a joining up with Mars in Pisces on Tuesday and Neptune. And so that means there is definitely an opening for someone transitioning. There's also an ending to storylines. So that's culminating things, wrapping things up. It is a retirement aspect. I always look to Neptune and Pisces individually, but right now, because Neptune's in Pisces, they're together. So we look at retirement stories. It is just the end of a story, the end of a creative endeavor, and moving on, getting old things wrapped up and saying goodbye. It is the elderly, both Taurus and, excuse me, not Taurus, but Capricorn and Pisces rule more of the elderly and tradition for Capricorn, and archival, vintagey energy for Pisces. So they are cooperative energies as signs, but acting together, especially with Mars going up on Neptune, is going to be truly, truly the end of an era and the end of a storyline. Okay, what else? And then we have the Moon in Scorpio, which is also death, and the death energy coming in for us to understand more. Pluto in Capricorn is the death of the body, the death of the material world, different things in the material world. I was out this week thinking about all the places that have gone defunct in my area, and places I used to go and places I really enjoyed going to that are no longer there. And there was a grocery store, there's been a couple restaurants, just even areas that were open fields and now have buildings on them, things like that. That is kind of this Pluto and Capricorn storyline. Let's see, then we have Capricorn Moon come up on Wednesday of next week. Wednesday is going to have a square between Moon and Capricorn and Jupiter and Aries, and in conjunct with the Moon to Mercury. So it is going to be a little bit more difficult day. Yeah, definitely Mars joining up with Neptune, and then the square and the inconjunct is going to be a really emotional day. And also our minds are going to have a hard time wrapping around the information, the energy that we're picking up on that day. And keep in mind that it is also the day after the lunar eclipse. So the eclipse is going to carry on for a while. It doesn't just stop at that time, but we feel the energy. It kind of rocks us for a while. And I know last year there was an eclipse that just kind of stuck with me personally for a while. So, I have a feeling this will also be another one, unfortunately. So if it has to do with finance or ending of a relationship or ending of a life story or even a life, that energy is there. The death of something is the storyline for the Moon in Scorpio at late degrees. Moon in Scorpio at late degrees also with the Mercury in Gemini inconjunct energy. It's inconjunct by sign. So it is also going to add to that. And because Wednesday also has the Mercury square to the moon, we are going to feel something going on with electronics or weather. Again, Mercury can rule localized weather that is very windy or inclement. So it's probably going to be tornado energy on Wednesday of next week. And then we go into the moon in Capricorn for the latter part of next week, which is going to be the physical, tangible goods of things and the literal communication of whatever is on our minds. And this is getting to be quite long. So Friday, the sun enters Gemini, which means that, of course, he is going to be right there talking to Mercury. And I don't know if I see, oh, there it is. Okay, so Saturday, the 21st, sun joins with Mercury. And then Saturday, the 21st, can be fairly good, although there is a square between the moon and Uranus on that day. But I'm going to save that for next week. And I'm just going to chit chat a little bit about what's going on emotionally for all of us here with this energy. And the reason I want to do this is because I talk a lot about the practical transitions and what we can expect practically, but I really want to get into more of a nitty gritty. How does this affect our day-to-day lives? What I should say or start out with is the moon. The moon is the fastest moving body in our heaven, other than the earth. You know, the earth shifts area of the sky every 2 hours. So that's fairly fast. But the moon goes into a new sign every 2.5 days. And that means that throughout the course of a week, it's in about 3 signs per week. And so we really feel the shift day to day. And when we feel this shift, we're going to be emotional or moody or detached. We can be, and I'll just give you a rundown real quick of all the moons. So moon in Aries, we're going to be a little bit more aggressive, more angry, more self-interested. Moon in Taurus, things get a little bit more practical and concerned about money. We think about being in a relationship, we're a little more romantic, and we handle money. If it's in your chart, if you have a moon in Taurus, you're probably more concerned about where your money goes than, you know, maybe most of the other signs, except for maybe Capricorn. Moon in Gemini means we're very chatty and social. We want to be out. We're in our minds. We're thinking. We are much more analytical. We're much more communicative. We are the teachers of the zodiac, and we want to get our word and thoughts out. We don't handle being squelched very well. We want to get that voice out. We're good with electronics and social media. We're good with broadcasting. And that's the time when we see more information come in about small animals and pets and lizards. I saw like 3 lizards dead on the sidewalk this week. Mercury is really hard for lizard energy and lizard friends. So we have moon in Cancer, which of course is the natural placement of the moon. And that's going to make us want to withdraw. We want to spend more time around home, holding up, cocooning, nesting, thinking about our families, being protected, basically. We might be more domestic and really want to seek out things like cooking and baking and things that are comfort foods. Yeah, Taurus is also very big on food. I just want to add that because I don't often talk about that. But Taurus, I've known a few Taurus people, and they're really big about socializing, bringing food to the table, and they love using food as a means of communication and connection. So they are some of the best chefs out there, really honestly. Moon in Leo is going to be about kids, about playfulness, about being in the spotlight and having more of an audience. It's about drama and getting attention through drama and creativity. It rules glass. And I love telling people this because it's such a specific thing, but Leo is a fire sign and they're very artistic, and glass is a really awesome way for Leos to express the energy through creative means, such as glass blowing or bead lamp working with glass. Anyway, and when the moon's in Leo, you can shatter glass. All the fire signs, I think, have a more difficult time handling things like glass and shattering and breaking things. Moon in Virgo, we get much more prudish. We rein in the energy. We're workaholics. We have our mind set on tasks. We don't necessarily want to go to the social things. That's Leo's territory. And we just want to stay kind of quiet in our minds. We are more interested in doing things that are aesthetically pleasing or emotionally pleasing, because Virgo isn't quite often talked about as a very sensitive sign. They are sensitive and they can be really critical because they're turning that critical mind on themselves most of the time because they live in their minds. So it is an earth sign, which means that they're really good with material world tasks and the best administrators of the zodiac. They are teachers. They love, tasky work. And so if you have something you want them to do that's more tedious and alone, something they can do and hold up in a room by themselves, they're like really good doing that. Now, if somebody had Taurus planets and Virgo planets, you got yourself a really good CPA or accountant, because they not only know money, but they will sit there, hold up doing the numbers and the micro tasks. So Moon gets to Virgo, that's what you see. And yeah, they are sensitive. So you have to watch what you say around Virgos, because they will take it to heart. They take things very personally, as do Scorpios. So Libra Moon is a Libra energy of Venus. So it's quite beautiful, aesthetically pleasing. It can be the ruler of aestheticians, also along with the other ruled Venus sign of Taurus. And so the moon in Libra really just wants to balance everything out. And again, I'll reiterate, triangulate. So both sides of the scale and the fulcrum that they balance on. So it's a triangle, because the air signs are about multiples. Gemini duality, Libra triangles, and multiples of Aquarius. And so Moon in Libra is going to be the diplomat, the social worker, someone who's very humanitarianly minded. And I think that's true with all the air signs, that they really get where other people are coming from a lot of the time. But I would say out of all of them, well, Libra is definitely the one that's going to be most concerned with other people, whereas Gemini is in the first quadrant of the zodiac and probably more about themselves, whereas Aquarius is very detached from the other and more about the collective. It doesn't get the one-on-one connection as much as the communal connection. Moon in Scorpio, very deep, very emotional, brooding, doesn't really like to show the cards. And so you'll find that when the moon goes into Scorpio, we go down into the depths. We're much more depressed. We think more deeply about what people have said to us and what people treat us like. And it is about the value. They are really good at determining value. Moon in Sagittarius is going to be the traveler, seeking always the next experience and doesn't sit still very well. And so when the moon as a collective, we get to this point, we're into traveling. There's energy around horses or the legs, being outside, doing hiking, doing nature walks, wanting to commune in nature for spiritual reasons, and traveling the world. Can't pin them down. And then moon in Capricorn is an uncomfortable position on one level, but also comfortable because moon rules Cancer. Cancer seeks out structure to help with the seemingly emotional ooze that they go through. So when the moon is in Capricorn, we feel, at least Cancer ruled people or moon ruled people, feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more structured, and feeling more in themselves. And then moon in Aquarius is going to be very floaty and hard to pin down. I mean, I know I have a connection to Aquarius strong, so I know when the moon gets to Aquarius, a couple things happen. I can be more clear-minded, or and meaning more logical, more grounded, more reasonable. But then you also get in information from all sources, and it comes from everywhere, and you really have to clarify where it's coming from. And so it can make you really scattered, and it can make you distractible. And that's kind of the ADD area of the zodiac. And then moon in Pisces, of course, moon is a watery emotional sign. In the water signs, it's going to get even more so. And in Pisces, the final water sign of the zodiac, is really where we emotionally connect to those who have crossed over. We are open to mediumship and psychic awareness. We're open to channeled energy within the arts. We have a photographic eye. We like things that connect us to the past and to history. So that is the historian area of the zodiac, and people from the past come back up under moon in Pisces. And that same energy of all the signs can be translated for any planet transiting different areas of the sky ruled by those particular signs. So you just combine the energy of the planet with the energy of the sign. Remember, all the signs are ruled by a specific planet. So you basically combine the planets. That's what astrology is about. Learn the definition of each of the planets, find out which sign they rule, and then combine them like a little recipe, and you've got it. So it's not as daunting once. It's really 12 signs and 10 planets and lights. And if you want to add some asteroids into it, you can do that. But right now, let's just go over kind of generalized, which will probably end up being more specialized because that's my nature. A general view of what the energies of the planets are giving us. Because we only have one entity on the opposite side of most of the planets in the sky, they're all within 180 degrees of our sky right now. Pluto, Saturn, Mars, Neptune, Jupiter, Venus, Chiron, Uranus, North Node, Moon, Sun and Mercury are all between late Aquarius and early Gemini, which is a very narrow band of sky. Pluto, Capricorn to Gemini, which is 150 degrees of the sky. And then we have the moon on the opposite side, which of course, in a few days, early next week, will be on the same side of the sky, which makes us a bit imbalanced in our Earth and how we feel and deal with things. So right now, we're going to feel that we are not getting where we want to go. And that's due to Pluto going retrograde. So maybe the grander picture of where our places in society, our Saturnian area, which is career, is not as defined. We are in the process of 2 steps up, 1 step back, 2 steps up, 1 step back, because that's the nature of the planets going forward and retrograding. With Pluto being such a slow-moving planet, we only get about 2 or 3 degrees a year. And that's why it takes so long to go into a new sign. And here, with 2 degrees away from change of sign, it gets more pronounced. And we're feeling that kind of energy of, man, I thought I knew what I wanted, but now I'm not sure. Should I go back? Should I do something more reliable? That's the Capricorn. And then Aquarius, the sign we're going into, is really wanting us to be more free thinking. And so having Saturn in Aquarius direct currently, we have the restriction energy. Wherever Saturn goes, he restricts us to show us just where we stand on any issue. And so having Saturn in Aquarius is really making us feel like there's an overwhelmed energy coming in. I think our anxiety has been triggered by Saturn in Aquarius because the nature of Saturn is to have things reliable and predictable. And the nature of Aquarius is to throw the rules out and to do what you want to do and to just feel the incoming energy. The people who probably have the hardest time right now are going to be the Aquarius rising people and maybe people with early Aquarius suns, because they're going to be the ones that feel this drive to be independent while being pulled back both between Pluto and Capricorn and Saturn in Aquarius, because they both answer to Capricorn energy and to the deeper psychological nature of what's going on with the sign. So we're really feeling that we aren't necessarily getting forward like we want to. Saturn moving forward towards the end degrees of Aquarius is helping. But of course, even Saturn's going to retrograde this year over the summer, which happens. I try to be so helpful here that sometimes I feel like I get bogged down in telling you the details. I don't necessarily want to always do that, but it goes retrograde the 3rd of June. And so we are in a shadow period of Saturn. But that means that when Saturn goes back, we're going to feel like, man, I was just about to do this and now I have to go back over what I was doing. It's really frustrating, I think, in a large part to have Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, because it feels like we're making some headway and then we're not. And Aquarius is a very quick-minded sign, and it wants to go forward, but Saturn restricts it and Saturn retrograde pulls it back. So it is really frustrating right now for the Aquarians, and their subconscious, their 12th house is Capricorn. And so they've got Pluto and Capricorn going, no, you have to cross your T's and dot your I's. And Saturn retrograding is also going towards that same kind of end of like getting all your ducks in a row. That's going to be a big time for crypto having to really justify itself in the market. And then when Saturn goes forward again, I think that it's going, and again, because of the nature, Saturn retrograde could make crypto go great, but it acts more like Jupiter. When Saturn's retrograde, it's more like Jupiter, more expansive. So the retrograde Saturn during this time could make it go up. And then when Saturn goes direct, it could go down again. And of course, whatever Uranus does, it fluctuates between the Saturn in Aquarius and the Uranus in Taurus, because Uranian energy ruling Aquarius. You have to have a strong sense of mission with crypto and know that it's going to be a roller coaster always. Anyway, the Mars late degree Neptune in late Pisces, again, it's going to bring out some subconscious anger about situations, and chances are they're going to relate to the past. And so people from the past or situations that you've gone over and over in your mind and you just can't let go. Neptune/Pisces is a real strong energy for digging in and being so emotionally connected to something that you just can't get past it. That energy is very, very strong right now. I have someone I know who lost their partner, and not my sister, but somebody else, and she just has not been able to move on. And I think that the Mars energy on Neptune is going to help that. It's going to dig you in with that person in that situation. But then as Mars transits over Neptune and gets back into Aries, it'll be like, okay, I've done that part of grieving. Now you may move into a different type of grieving, or you may own that anger that you have that you can't be with that person anymore. And then it moves on to Aries, and you're like, okay. And again, it's 21 right now. So it's about 2 to 3 weeks before it goes into Aries. And then we've got Jupiter expanding the Aries energy. Jupiter is really giving us the idea that we can go somewhere else. We can find a new thing to do, a new place to go, new horizons, new projects. And it's actually really optimistic. I find the Jupiter and Aries energy maybe initially was a bit angering, and that was because it was so close to Mars. In and of itself, it is a tremendously optimistic sign, or planet, excuse me. And in Aries, which is also like, hey, we're here on Earth, we're playful, we're young, we're very energized and enervated to what's coming next. And so Jupiter in Aries is really going to bring that kind of revival energy to our lives. And wherever he falls in the zodiac is going to bring that for you until he goes retrograde. Not going to touch on that. We'll talk about it when it comes. Venus at 12 joined up with Chiron. We talked a bit about that already. But Venus in Aries is going to make women stand up and say, you know what, I have my boundaries. And, it's not okay that this is going on. It could make women more aggressive. It could make them more violent. And we may hear about a woman doing something violent. We just heard Naomi Judd killed herself through firearms, through a gun. And so that would completely be in alignment with that energy. I don't know how long ago that was, but I know Venus has moved about 6 degrees since last week. So that meant it was much closer to Jupiter transformation, transition of life. I haven't done her chart, probably won't do her chart out of respect for the family. I just don't want to do analysis of people recently deceased, and especially in a situation where this particular event was in the spotlight with a lot of women and emotion, and it just seems a little bit more of a salacious thing to do her chart right now, so I'm not going to do that. Anyway, Uranus in Taurus, I think you all can see and we all feel it. It's this rocking and rolling energy in our finances. That's really where we are, and maybe even some feeling like I'm really getting detached from my partner. I don't know if I really love him anymore. Don't be surprised if that happens, or if you decide to let go of a partner, especially as Moon transits into Scorpio before the actual eclipse. maybe a day before, like on Sunday, it'll be opposite of Venus, or actually in conjunctive Venus opposite of Uranus. So you're going to feel that energy really strongly this weekend, where, you know, there's something not quite right about the situation with a relationship. Doesn't mean everybody, just people with those triggers in their chart. And then Sun at 22 Taurus, we are feeling very conservative. We're feeling maybe we're wrapping up a story around a financial block or a financial situation. This is a time also for Taurians, because I know at least one, and the Taurus people have been having their share of stress lately. My friend who is a Taurus, her birthday was yesterday. She's up with an aunt who is in the process of hospice. So that can be really difficult. And the end degrees of Pluto trining the sun is going to be some of that energy of, you know, end of a story as well. And then Mercury in Gemini is making us very overloaded with information, and feeling like with the retrograde, we're not able to really talk the way we want to and express the way we want to. I have done a couple things under this Mercury station before it went retrograde, and I full well knew that there's a chance that I won't even hear back from these people for a few weeks. And so it's like, you just know if you initiate something, and it is contracts, if you initiate it now, you could possibly not hear back from the people for a couple weeks. Or Mars late Pisces could mean, if it's a house, flooding is a possibility, definitely, as Mars is 3 degrees away from Neptune. I would be very cautious about floodplains, water pipes, lakes, rivers being near it, any of that. So that's pretty much it for this week. I'm going to wrap it up, and I hope you have a good week. Definitely buckle up for this lunar eclipse. It's going to be a deeply emotional one. Could be transitions, could be people not able to take it anymore. And again, it's an energy where we have to really be aware of our friends and family and their emotional lives. But, you know, be there if you can for the people you love. So anyway, that's all for this week. I hope you have a good week, and let me know if there's anything you want to talk about. And definitely, I'm going to take a minute here to promote media that I'm on. So Instagram, Angelic Zodiac, also on YouTube. If you're listening to this on SoundCloud, I'm on SoundCloud, iTunes. Please do share my podcast. I really am trying to build my audience again after I got rid of Blog Talk. So anyway, you can find old archives of my shows on blogtalkradio.com if you're looking for it, Astro Energy. Hey, it's Shelley again. I just wanted to update you because I forgot about the Kentucky Derby last weekend. So as an update, I told you I was going to maybe look into the horses, and I did. I didn't get to all of them because I started doing it about 2 hours before post time, and then it was dinner time, so I didn't get to really do all of it. So just a few of the horses, definitely, I mean, just looking at photos of the horses, and I said last week that they were 2-year-olds, they're actually 3-year-olds. So 2-year-old is a little bit too young to be running in the race, but 3-year-olds, all of them are 3-year-olds. I started with the Aries horses because the Aries horses are ruled by Mars, and of course, you know, what's Mars doing? Jupiter was in Aries, and the ones that had that Aries energy were really strong, in my opinion. And so I kind of started with the birthdays that were in April, and also a little bit, I think initially I started with the March ones, but we've got a number of horses that really kind of stuck out, and I've got my chart here, and of course you can't see it there. It's like the cloak of invisibility. You can kind of see it there. But the ones that stuck out were, let me see, the very first one was Epicenter, who stuck out, and then Messier, and then Crown, what was this? It wasn't Crown Prince, Crown Pride definitely stuck out, those three. And I thought for sure Epicenter would win. But the interesting thing, I did do Rich Strike's chart, and I kept looking at some of these, and I wrote on it a couple times, upset. And even though it wasn't rich strike, the word kept coming, and I wrote it a couple times, upset, on this chart on my table of horses. And if you didn't watch it, it was quite amazing. And the thing that I find really fascinating, like I was watching it and I was noticing the odds, and the odds were, anywhere from like 11 to 5, which I think was Epicenter's odds, to 80 to 1. And Rich Strike just got into the race. He actually worked his way up the wait list in the last hour before he was allowed to come in, and they cut off all new horses. And he got in literally, he said, I mean, it could be an exaggeration, but the trainer said he got in 30 seconds before they closed it. And he had gone from number 24 to 22. And then the one before him got a strike. They scratched is the word. And they scratched that horse off of the list. And so he moved into 21st place. And my guess is because he was not in the field. I mean, I don't really know how they make the odds other than, it's like how many tickets are sold and how many people say yes, they'll win, and how many don't, versus, how many will versus how many don't. And so he was on the field at the last second. He really just came to the game at the last second. And so he was 80 to 1. And I think he made like $165 for every one you invested, or 130. It was between 135 and 165. But I watched the race and it was really cool. It's always awesome for me to watch the Kentucky Derby and see how these beautiful animals run. But when you go the next day and look at the race from overhead, the drone shot, it is stunning. I have chills. They ran from his position was farthest away from the railing, which meant he had to make up all that distance to get up to the railing. He was really kind of in the last 2 or 3 horses of the pack when they let go. And then he came up and he was holding back until the final furlong, where his jockey let him go. And he literally worked his way up past 17 horses. And from the very last furlong, he worked past 12 horses. And there were times in the overhead view where his whole path was completely blocked by other horses. It was a divinely guided, amazing. I've got chills just telling you about it. It was such an amazing race. And if you get a chance, go back to YouTube and type in Kentucky Derby Rich Strike drone shot, drone cam, or whatever, and watch that, because it is amazing. But the other thing is, they were saying after the race that he was like only behind one other horse in as far as odds making the win. And the other horse ran in 1913, but there were only 8 horses in that field in that race. So if you compare the one who had worse odds making the win to him against a field of 21 horses, he definitely had the premier position for longest shot making the win. And it's quite amazing. I definitely want to watch the next 2 races, which are the Preakness and the Belmont. Hopefully he can make the Triple Crown. I just love a good underdog story. But that's all. I just wanted to come in and check it out and tell you about that, because I realized in editing that I hadn't done that. So anyway, there you go. Have a good week. Bye. The humanities, and that was weird. 22 north node at
Hey, this is Shelley. I wanted to give you a heads up that there are a lot of new art prints at shelleyoverton.com. So go over there and check them out. SHELLEYOVERTON.com. Thanks.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com, including discounts. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at Astro Energy Astrology Show.